Hey mates, this is me, John Kuzmarski. This is an excerpt from my book, The Life Coach Manual, an invaluable repertoire of tools for coaches. This section is called The Immense Value of Details. I just previously did a recording on Sherlock Holmes and NLP and how Sherlock Holmes was a master of some of these coaching tools. So I encourage you to check out that video. This is the immense value of details. In one of his many casual lessons to his colleague, Sherlock Holmes urges his friend Watson to examine the profundity of the proper inspection of details. And this is the quote that Sherlock says, "You do not know where to look, and so you missed all that was important. I can never bring you to realize the importance of sleeves, the suggestiveness of thumbnails, or the great issue that may hang from a bootlace." Now Watson then remarks some more detailed observations, and Holmes responds, "Upon my word, Watson, you are coming along wonderfully. You have really done very well indeed. It is true that you have missed everything of importance, but you have hit upon the method, and you have a quick eye for color. Never trust to general impressions, my boy, but concentrate yourself upon details." I love that. Being the polar opposite of visible tools, invisible tools operate behind the scenes. Generally, invisible tools are more advanced than the visible tools because invisible tools are tools to which the client friend never has access. Invisible tools are available only to the coach, NLP practitioner, persuasion protector, or persuader. Invisible tools go unnoticed by the client, and with the distinction between preferably invisible and inherently invisible, which is a later section in my book, the efficacy and impact of the tool may or may not change if their invisibility dwindles. If the invisible tool becomes exposed and visible, in contrast to practically anyone who's determined enough can get a hold of a visible tool visualization script and do a walkthrough on their own, that does not minimize the effective visible tools. However, only the masterful communicator or coach can effectively wield and apply invisible tools to the client's benefit, and therefore invisible tools often require more skill as a communicator. When you accomplish something with an invisible tool, you as a coach can secretly accomplish the following: cultivate more insight into how the client works, install a different perspective without the client being aware of installation, an uplifting perspective, implement into the client a different perspective incognito, elicit a state, collapse a disempowering state, and finally interrupt a toxic pattern that the client wants to escape. So invisible tools are very important to coaching. The client does need to know everything that you're doing. Having an ability to be aware that you're doing something very effective and the client doesn't know that is absolutely vital to being a valuable and helpful partner in any kind of relationship. If a client just wants results and is less interested in the process of coaching, invisible tools may be the most practical tool choice by far. Thus, invisible tools are necessary in most any relationship, but they're specifically to that unique client personality where they don't need to know the details of how the coaching process works. While the usage of an invisible tool may go unseen to the client, the impact of an invisible tool is very visible, direct, and obvious. Invisible tools can cause destructive behaviors to vanish, gather more information about the client, increase rapport, reframe perspectives in empowering ways, flip around beliefs, and cause a lot of opportunity to tinker with logical levels. So while the implementation of an invisible tool occurs incognito, its effects are conspicuously invaluable. Often the essence of how and why an invisible tool works is that it is invisible. When you're using body language to undertone a message detailed in the sections to come, you won't say to the client, "When I raise my eyebrows, that means I'm cueing your unconscious mind that it's your signal to speak." That would be preposterous. But raising your eyebrows does unconsciously cue your listener to speak. And you have eyebrows, you must as well use them. The reason why that works is because of its very nature of invisibility in its delivery, because it's unnoticed and not processed by the conscious mind. This is precisely why I've detailed tools as visible and invisible. The visible tools work directly and openly with the conscious mind, the frontal lobe. And there's a time and very significant moment for those types of visible tools. But invisible tools directly target the unconscious mind, often bypassing the frontal lobe, and work with something more primitive and often ancient in us. The usage of visible or invisible tools is circumstantial, but quite often only one kind of tool will be most effective. Thus, it's important to have access to a full repertoire of visible and invisible tools, which is what you get in my book, The Life Coach Manual. Remember, an outcome for your tool application is this Swiss Army knife visualization of tools. You always know where they're located on your hip. Their organization doesn't change. The tools in a Swiss Army knife don't magically change their location, and you know where they're located. Marvelous. This is why I'm spending valuable time on classifying tools, cognitive, neurolinguistic programming, life coaching tools, because better organization structure, just like, for example, taxonomy, is intrinsically connected with faster accessibility to those items, in this case, neurolinguistic programming, NLP tools. So thanks for watching. Be sure to pick up my book at www.johnsmarshy.com by clicking on the store link. Ooh, that's awesome. Have a great day, guys.